A person who commits a minor traffic violation, I think she forgot to put on her turn signal, should not be yanked out of her car, assaulted, handcuffed, put in jail, and die 3 days later. That's not what should happen when you commit a minor traffic violation. We must reform our criminal justice system. Black lives do matter, and we must value black lives.
That was Bernie Sanders last night addressing the case of Sandra Bland at the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, a longtime civil rights organization that was once headed by Martin Luther King Jr. Now, last night's speech by Sanders comes just 1 week after a rocky reception that he received at a gathering of liberal activists. Sanders, along with fellow Democratic candidate Martin O'Malley, was disrupted and booed by Black Lives Matter's protesters at Netroots Nation last weekend.
Shall I continue or leave?
Yeah, hold on one second. Hold on.
It's okay with me. Listen, I don't have black lives, of course, matter. And I spent 50 years of my life fighting for civil rights and for dignity. But if you don't want me to be here, that's okay.
Now, Hillary Clinton, who skipped that event and avoided those protesters last weekend, seemed to sense an opening after that.
It's heartbreaking to read about another death of a young woman, Sandra Bland in Texas, another young African-American life cut short. And that's why I think it is essential that we all stand up and say loudly and clearly, yes, Black Lives Matter.
All right, and joining me from New Orleans, MSNBC's Alex Seitzwald. He was at the Sanders event last night. Alex, thanks for taking a few minutes this morning. So what we saw the response last weekend at Netroots Nation. What was it like yesterday for Bernie Sanders?
Morning, Steve. Well, definitely a much warmer reception for Bernie Sanders. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference was very happy to have him. He was the only Democratic presidential candidate who showed up. He touched on a lot of the right issues, criminal justice reform, as we saw, voting rights, and he also had a lot to offer on his economic message. So people were very open-minded. He came willing to learn. He acknowledged that he was not very well known in the black community, and he started with a very basic explanation of where Vermont is. It's a small state, that Burlington is the largest city, and traced a little bit of his history in the movement. But two important caveats here. I think this was the perfect group for him. There are a lot of civil rights groups, but this is a group that is of his generation. It's one that remembers and appreciates his work in the 60s civil rights movement, but it's several generations removed from the current Black Lives Matter movement, a much younger group. And also, he fell back on and really defended his economic worldview. I mean, this is a guy who spent a lot of time looking at the world through a class-based lens, and what the Black Lives Matter folks wanted him to do was look at the world through a racial lens, and we didn't start to see that last night from Bernie Sanders. Some of the people that I talked to, including the president, Dr. Charles Steele, acknowledge that there's kind of a sensitivity issue for Bernie Sanders. A key statistic here, Vermont has just 7,500 black people in the entire state. There have been more people at Bernie Sanders' rally than the entire black population. So I think this is still a learning curve. This was a good down payment for him, but I think he still has a long way to go.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, Vermont obviously is a small state to begin with, and the share of the black population very, very tiny up there. Let me bring the panel in here, and I'm curious about the bit of a controversy this whole week that this Bernie Sanders speech last night is sort of the culmination of. We saw what happened at Netroots Nation. The other thing that happened on that stage last weekend, Martin O'Malley, the former Maryland governor, he was booed by those protesters as well. They were saying Black Lives Matter. He said Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, all lives matter. He got booed for that, then later apologized. Then Jeb Bush, a Republican candidate, was out there this week. We can put this up. He responded to that exchange with Martin O'Malley, and he said, this is Jeb Bush's words here, he said, "We're so uptight and politically correct now that you apologize for saying lives matter." He was dismissing the Black Lives Matter line as a slogan. Just curious, April, what do you make of what's happened in the last week here?
One thing I know for sure, all lives matter. But when there are pervasive problems and you're now seeing the problems, you need to be made aware of the problems. Your team needs to help you understand the problems before you go out on the stage, particularly talking about black issues, okay? So the problem is some of these presidential candidates need to understand that we are not just focusing in on one group. And yes, the black community, the black vote tends to vote Democratic, but you cannot take the black vote for granted. You have to understand what are the problems specifically in the black community. The Hispanic vote is up for play, but the black vote is very important in this country as well. And Martin O'Malley, you said he was Maryland governor. He was also Baltimore City's mayor. And he, in part, is partly the blame for some of the problems, some of the riots that stemmed in Baltimore because of the Freddie Gray death. He promoted that zero tolerance. So for him to say white lives matter is kind of a slap in the face to many people in Maryland, particularly in Baltimore, who are still suffering from the aftermath of his reign as mayor.
You know, the New York Times this morning has a really interesting story about looking at the incident at Netroots Nation last week, looking at the Jeb Bush comment I just read, and basically putting it in the context of the changing demographic face of America and what this is doing. It's emboldening some activists, as you saw at Netroots. It's also creating some apprehension. Pat Buchanan, the former presidential candidate, was quoted in this New York Times article, and he was trying to diagnose what was happening on the right. He said, it's not only illegal immigration, but mass immigration and the changing character and composition of the country that unsettles people.
Yeah, well, I would say, I mean, looking at the Democratic Party, I think this is a problem for them right now, because I think, you know, whether it's the Black Lives Matter campaign or it's the sanctuary cities is another debate, you've got activists there who really want candidates to take a hard line. I mean, the fact that you're booing Bernie Sanders off the stage, wow. I mean, there may not be a lot of black people who live in Vermont, but he has a lot of policies that he would say would help a lot of black people in this country.
It's also a problem for the Republican Party as well. You've got Rand Paul that's talking criminal justice. The Republican Party needs to embrace this.
And criminal justice reform, I'm all for. I think it's a great idea. But my point being is that is a base constituency that seems to be somewhat divided within the Democratic Party. And I think sanctuary cities, that's another whole policy where you've got folks in the Hispanic community who want to say, let's protect those. But when you look at a larger electorate, the larger public, they're like, wait a minute, come on, let's revisit this thing. So I think there's a couple of issues like that that's more of a problem right now for them. And you see a Bernie and a Governor O'Malley and Hillary now kind of taking different stances of who do I represent here.
And Jeb Bush messed up with that as well.
It's a problem of both substance and style. I mean, on the substance issue, of course, Black Lives Matter. And, you know, I'm old enough to remember the riots of the 1960s, unlike maybe some of you here. And I think we're approaching the level of maybe an incendiary environment where we may see something big on the race front in a relatively short period of time. From Bernie's perspective, part of his problem was a bit tin-eared in the sense that he didn't understand, you know, the way in which you would typically respond to an outburst in a political environment, where, you know, this taking it personally, being somewhat thin-skinned about how you deal with a protester at a rally, you know, you sit back. You know, you take into account the person's point of view, you respond to it appropriately, and you don't get flustered by these interruptions. They happen at every campaign rally.
And I wonder, Alex, in New Orleans, in the last week, do you think Bernie Sanders, is there a sense that he learned something from what happened last week in Arizona?
Absolutely, I think, Steve. I mean, the day after the Netroots incident, he said the name Sandra Bland. He talked about her case. His Twitter account tweeted out the names of a lot of the people who, the black young people who have been killed by police officers. So I think he's definitely coming around to it. He's been injecting race and racism and economic issues related to African Americans much more into his stump speech, which, if you go back to the day he launched up in Burlington, we were there, Steve, it was almost entirely economic focus. He didn't mention immigration. He didn't really mention racism. So he's definitely learning. Tad Devine, his top strategist, has told me that this is an explicit goal of the campaign. One key thing that I think he needs to do is find people around him, bring people onto his staff who can speak to that point of view. His staff is over 90% white, according to the group Inclusive, and that's going to be an issue for him. He's a lot of longtime people who've been with him for a long time, so it's going to be harder for him to incorporate those views, but I do think he's heading in that direction.
And, you know, if you look, Steve, real quickly, if you look at the way Hillary Clinton, Secretary Clinton responds to this, she did a very presidential, you know, platform-oriented statement, right? Which takes her out of the fray. She's doing things that, you know, frame her in a way that she's not sitting there.
And she doesn't put herself in a situation of where you're going to have a live audience.
And she learned, because in 2007, which is the last time she went to Netroots, she was booed. She has not been back since, and I think she suspected, if not that, then something like that might happen if she went last week. Anyway, thank you to MSNBC's Alex Seitzwald in New Orleans for taking a few minutes.